One of the panels at APAC was called Disruption in the Market, and it was talking about the growth of audiobooks in the past decade and the changes it has brought about. One of the presenters was someone from Bookstat.com, and what he presented was very interesting. It was about publishing data and how the Nielsen's PubTrack and the AAP data is incomplete. And Bookstat actually tracks all of the data to get a more complete picture. I took some pictures of his slides for his presentation, and I'm not going to share them up here because, copyright infringement, but I will give you the details that kind of sum up all of this stuff. So first and foremost, ebook sales from 2010 to the present. Kindle Unlimited alone pays over $400 million a year to indie authors. So $1 billion a year in indie ebook sales are actually completely missing from the sales figures and publishing data from the MPD and the AAP. And I just want to reiterate, that's indie authors on KU. That's not including trad publishing on KU. U.S. audiobook sales crossed the $3 billion per year mark last year and is still growing over 20% annually, and that is the projection rate. But that sales data still doesn't include a third of those purchases. That missing third includes audio sales from indie published authors, Audible Studios, Brilliant, which is an Audible imprint, small pub sales, and Pottermore. And here's where it gets exciting for my indie author friends. Indie-sourced audiobooks make up 1/8 of U.S. audiobook sales. 1/8. Now, when I say indie-sourced, I do mean that publishers have acquired indie rights, but also self-published indie audiobooks. Why is this exciting? Well, because indie audio sales are still mostly front-list books, and the most amount of sales are actually from books that have been published in the past 3 years. So the backlist is continuing to grow, which means that the indie market share of audiobook sales will also continue to accelerate. Whereas publisher audio sales, most of them are actually from deep backlist, as in 10 to 20 years old. More crazy information. More than half of all U.S. audiobook sales in romance subgenres are untracked indie, Amazon imprint, Audible imprint, and small publisher sales. More than half of romance subgenres contribute to that revenue that the romance genre is bringing in terms of audiobooks. Sci-fi and fantasy is close behind and those subgenres, but more than half is romance. I think this is important information for indie authors to have because it enables you to better make a choice about whether or not you want to put your books into audio. We know that it's an investment. We know that it costs a fair bit of money. Doesn't have to. But there's also an article from naturallyvoice.com talking about how putting your book into audio can actually increase ebook and physical sales because people like to listen and read simultaneously, but also it's another way to expose more readers to your work. So you may not recoup the money spent on an audiobook from audiobook sales, but it can drive purchases of your other formats and make the money back that way. Similarly, it may be lucrative because the audiobook industry is expected to be like $19.6 billion by 2027, which is crazy because, again, we're seeing double-digit growth every year. If any of this data inspires you to put your books into audio, or consider it, and I hope it does, reach out to a narrator or like a small production company to ask what it would cost, what it involves, how marketing works, etc. And please, please, please remember that this information is free. You do not need to pay for information on how to get your book into audio. And also, there is zero obligation to use the company's services who you asked for the information from. Zero obligation. Just get that information and make the best choice for you. As always, my DMs are open, and I know plenty of others on this app are as well. Thank you for listening to me ramble.